Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered launches on Nintendo Switch in just a couple of days. I'll have a full review diving deep into how these games have held up and the remastering effort that has gone into them on launch day. But for today, I just want to give you a quick technical preview based on the first level of each game. For this video, I'm just going to look at performance. That means resolution, frame rate, and basic overview of what's changed. I've also got a copy of the Xbox version, so we can take a look at any differences between the Switch release and the more powerful consoles. I'll save my opinions on the artistic side of this remastering for my full review, so make sure you subscribe and come back for that in a couple days. With that, let's get started. These remasters employ one of my favorite features to see in this kind of game, which is the option to freely swap at any time between the original version of the game and the remastered version. Essentially, if you want to play through all three of these games with their original presentation from start to finish, you can. The only downside in this case is that to facilitate this, the collision mesh for the environment had to be 1-to-1 between the remaster and the original. Since this was originally a game that released on the Sega Saturn prior to its release on PC and PS1, the world geometry is comically low. There are areas where geometric complexity has been greatly increased, but it's exclusively in areas where you can't reach in order to preserve the ability to swap between versions. Look to higher unreachable areas and you'll often spot a huge increase in geometric density. It's also worth noting that the 2D billboards used for select objects such as foliage have been replaced with fully 3D assets. The areas where geometry needed to remain unchanged, however, rely purely on texture upgrades to present a more modern visual experience. At times, these textures look to be either the source high-resolution assets that the original textures were sampled down from, or a highly accurate recreation of them. Pretty much every texture in the first level of the first game is spot on, to the point that you can make out details that were previously just an abstract pixel. On the other hand, some textures, such as this rock wall in the first stage of the second game, look entirely different. Lighting has also been updated with proper pre-baked light maps to replace the vertex lighting found in the original. On the topic of lighting, Lara herself now casts an accurate real-time shadow, as well as having self-shadowing. Because lighting is now treated more realistically, new holes have been cut in the ceilings of some places to allow realistic sources for these lights. None of these changes are earth-shattering from a technical perspective, but they do add up to create a substantially different-looking game. Once again, I'll save my subjective personal opinions on the success of the remastering for my full review, but it's easy to see just how big of a change the remaster is visually. So, how does it actually run? Well, it's all good news on this front. When playing docked, we're getting a full 1920 by 1080, the Switch's maximum output, and in handheld mode, we're looking at 1280 by 720, a native match for the Switch's own screen. The image looks flawlessly crisp in both configurations, which is honestly crucial given the stark geometry it's presenting. These straight edges at a low resolution would have proven painfully obvious. Likewise, frame rate also holds up in all three titles, offering a perfect 60 FPS, at least within the first level of each game. It's possible things could change in later parts of the game, but despite being the first stages, they provide a pretty diverse selection of performance testing scenarios, and it held up great. With performance metrics like that, you may wonder what was cut to get it running so well on Switch, but as far as I can tell, nothing. Comparing the Switch version head-to-head with the Xbox version, there is no obvious difference in effects. Real-time shadow resolution may be a hair lower on Switch, but it's honestly difficult to tell. Texture resolution also doesn't show any obvious differences, at least as far as I can tell. It would appear that this remaster is just a very good fit for the Nintendo Switch. But that's all I've got for today. Like I said, my full opinions on this remaster are coming later this week, so stick with Nintendo World Report TV for further coverage. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like, maybe leave a comment down below letting me know how you think this game is looking. You can also chat with us about this or anything else Nintendo using our Discord. There's a link in the description. My name's John Reardon, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in a couple of days for the full review. This video is made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. Did you know that Nintendo World Report is funded directly by fans like you? When you support Nintendo World Report on Patreon, you get immediate access to multiple exclusive podcasts every month, exclusive Discord channels, an early look at select content, and more, all for as little as $1 a month. Check out patreon.com/NWR for all the details.